Alright YouTube, what's going on? Doing the front-facing format for this video. Hopefully that caught that first part. So hopefully you heard my introduction. If not, welcome to the channel. We're going to talk about the community polls I have done one video on this, and I'm going to do another one here. I did a couple of recent surveys, and one of those ones was, I was just curious to find what was the most common material that you guys use to cut. And I'm not going to have any of those materials. I mean, I guess I could have, but I'll just go over what knife I'm carrying today first, and then we'll kind of jump into that survey. This is the Strider SNG with the Mandalorian. That's actually the Mythosaur skull, but you know, it's got a Mandalorian theme. It has "This is the way." This is the Prometheus Designs Works. It's really hard to get, exclusive knife. You guys know me. I'm a big Star Wars nut, and I love Striders. So this was a match made in heaven, and I paid way too much money for it. But that's okay, because it'll stay in my collection forever. Maybe not forever, but a long time. So that's what I'm carrying today. And yeah, I wanted to talk about these. So this was interesting. I thought this was a cool poll. It only gives you 5 options, which is kind of dumb. I wish I had more. So I'm going to read the comments too, just to kind of go over that. They're pretty funny. So the choices were cardboard, food, unboxing your next knife, which is, come on, let's be real, that's it. Zip ties and straps type, and rope and cordage is another one. Also got in the comments, someone commented, cardboard, I don't have to, I can just fold down the boxes. The most material ever cut is Teflon plastic, sometimes fiberglass, impregnated plastic. So there's some new things going on there. Mostly plastic packaging and cardboard. Other, in parentheses, throats, so cutting throats, good. Amazon box tape, and ex-girlfriends. I don't condone throats or the ex-girlfriends, but kind of a funny poll. So the results were, out of 367 votes, cardboard was the #1 at 56%. Now that does not surprise me at all, because in my everyday use, that is #1. Cutting down boxes for the recycle bin is absolutely the #1 thing I use my knife for, 100%. I would be completely in denial if I said anything else otherwise. And I think most people, as based on the survey, almost 60% of people chose that. #2 was unboxing your next knife, which ironically enough is cutting into what? A cardboard box? Tape. Zip. So that was #2. Doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, you've seen the meme that Blade HQ did or someone did. What people think I do with my knife, what I think I do with my knife. It's got like a Rambo, and then the reality was unboxing the next knife. Yeah, that's really, come on, let's be real. The next highest was zip ties and straps, so that's good. I'll tell you why that's good in a minute. Food was 8%, which was the next one, which a lot of people do use their pocket knives for their food prep. I have done it many times. Spidey Chef is excellent for that. And rope and cordage, also good, that came in there. I don't do a lot of that, but I know a lot of people do. So the reason why I did this video, I was polling you guys to see, because these are the items that I typically test a knife in. And I knew cardboard would be the #1 thing. I really had no doubt. But whenever I do cut tests and I do like reviews on knives, the thing that I look at, these are the types of materials I cut. I always cut a lot of cardboard up. I always cut, I will use the knife to unbox other knives. That's very common. I will cut up zip ties and straps. I don't really cut those, but I have a bunch on hand just to see how it does and how it affects the blade, the edge of the blade. Some can be kind of hard to get through, and that can kind of, depending on the steel and such, can cause damage to the edge. Rope and cordage, I don't cut a lot of that, but I do test that as well. And food, I do a lot of food prep with my pocket knives. When I'm in the kitchen, I just whip it out and chop some up for my wife when we're cooking dinner, and she's like, "You're weird, we have kitchen knives." And I'm like, well, I gotta use this knife for something. So yeah, I did that on purpose. I wanted to see, because these are the things I test. And then I got some other ideas, like impregnated plastic was one. I don't even know what that is, so tell me what it is in the comments, or maybe give me an example. Or Teflon plastic. That must be really specific to a job. Tape, obviously. Come on, tape. Yeah, and some of the other ones I won't mention. So I'm not going to test those other 2 things. But interesting, like, what we all cut our knives with most commonly in cardboard, #1, right? So, why is that important? Well, that's why I test that. And one thing that I look for on a knife is something that's thin and slicey, because if you're cutting a lot of cardboard, you're going to need a thin edge, a thin behind the edge knife, and even a thinner blade stock is good. Not always necessary if it's thin enough behind the edge, because if you have a thicker, behind the edge and you're going through those kind of materials, typically any knife can cut through cardboard, right? But how easily it does it and how smoothly and how fast is going to be something that's important to me. And if you look at knives like this Para 3, now this Para 3 has a regrind on it from Micah Sontag. Hopefully that didn't shut off. Micah Sontag Knives, Instagram. It's 10 thousandths behind the edge. It's K390. This thing is a cardboard destroying machine. Even when this knife is not sharp, which I recently stropped it, because it's so thin behind the edge, it will fly right through cardboard because of that thin grind, that geometry. So that's important. If you get into a knife that's thick, I don't really have one on this table right now that's thick behind the edge. Actually, yeah, this guy's pretty thick behind the edge. This is like 22 thousandths. It's not horrible. And it still did okay, The grind can also make a difference if it's hollow grind or flat grind, those kind of things can make a difference. But this knife will not cut through cardboard nearly as well as this knife that's 10 thousandths behind the edge. Even if this knife is not as sharp, it will do better because of the geometry. And so that's why it's important. That's why cardboard, if you're cutting a lot of cardboard, guys, one thing that I see a lot of when guys buy knives, they don't measure behind the edge thickness. They don't care necessarily about edge geometry. They just want it to be sharp and be able to fidget with it. I'm telling you right now, high-performing knives are going to be thin behind the edge, and they will cut better no matter what. Even this thick Strider, that's some thick blade stock, but it's thin behind the edge. It's about 16, 17 thousandths behind the edge, which is thin for a Strider. This is a newer production Striders. The newer production M Striders are thinner behind the edge. All the ones I have are under 20 thousandths, and they have thick blade stock, right? This knife will cut better than that CRKT, even though the blade stock is much thicker because it's got better edge geometry. So it should be important to you. The Benchmade Bug Out is a good performing slicey knife, has a thin blade stock and a thin edge. It's less than 20 thousandths also. Most Benchmades are not. Like the 940, the iconic 940 is thick behind the edge, guys, and it's like 22, 23 thousandths behind the edge. It's got it doesn't have a very tall grind. So yeah, it's got a lot of things going against it. But like most of the knives on this table, this Vox F5.5 is very thin behind the edge. This thing flies through cardboard as well. It's got a nice grind geometry. So that should be important. If you're cutting a lot of cardboard, you can cut cardboard. Like I said, you can cut cardboard with a normal thick behind the edge knife. My Hinder XM18 3.5-inch Warncliffe is very thick, because I've sharpened it multiple times and it came thick, but it's got that Warncliffe blade shape is really good for processing cardboard. So it does well, and it's rather sharp, but you can feel more resistance in cutting through those certain materials like zip ties, cordage, and cardboard, which were the top besides unboxing your next knife. Now that one, it doesn't matter what you're using. Most people use a freaking pair of scissors. It drives me insane, right? It drives all knife guys insane that people are using scissors to open a box, but I see it. You see it all the time. Or get yourself, honestly, you're cutting a lot of cardboard. I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. A box cutter is going to do better than most because it's got that razor thin edge, on those razor blades. But if you want to use a pocket knife to process cardboard like I do, then I look for knives that are thin behind the edge. That's going to process cardboard better than ones that aren't, period. Same with zip ties, same with rope and cordage. All that applies to that. Food, especially food, cutting up vegetables, things, meats and stuff, having a thinner edge. Like most kitchen knives are ground pretty thin because of that very reason. So I did I do these surveys because A, I want to see what I should be testing my knives with, and I was spot on. These are all the things I do. And B, just to see what's important to everyone and to talk about why, if those are the things you cut most, the type of knives you should be looking for. So it's just a discussion. I like doing these community surveys. I got another one to do here. I'll do another video front facing like this as well to talk about that. That was opening methods of knives. So we'll talk about that next. But thanks for watching this, guys. Let me know if you like this series. Please comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll see you on the next time.